Hello, my name is Jalen Jones, digital producer here at WRAL. On today's episode of the Daily Download, I had an amazing conversation with 5 on your sides, Keely Arthur. She saved a woman $10,000 from an ATM malfunction. If you're watching this video, make sure that you like and subscribe. If you're listening to on podcasts, rate us, review us, leave us 5 stars. The community is what makes WRAL unique, and we appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and here goes the content. So for the audience, we're going to set the scene real quick. A woman had gotten a check of $10,000 or so from a deceased aunt, and then they wanted to deposit that into their account. So they went to a Wells Fargo bank, and the check never cleared.
Yeah, so she went to the bank, and I believe it was like a Wells Fargo ATM. You know how sometimes there's like the third-party ATM.
Yes.
She banks with Wells Fargo. She inserted the deposited check into the Wells Fargo ATM, and I think she did not receive a receipt back. And she was like, well, that's weird. I think they maybe put like $100, gave her $100 credit. It was very bizarre. So she's like, well, whatever. I bank with these people. I've been banking with them for decades. I'm going to go to the bank tomorrow and ask them what's going on. So she goes, and they're like, oh, we're holding that because it's under investigation. And she's like, all right, well, can I just have my check back? Because I'll just go. I think her husband and her had a joint checking account with Chase Bank, I believe. So she was like, well, I'll just take the check that's mine and I will go deposit it somewhere else if there's like an issue with this. And they were like, no, like we're holding it. She's like, well, where are you holding it? We can't tell you. So she felt immediately like she was getting the third degree. And also, she wasn't getting any answers about why she was being treated this way. So, like, that would annoy anybody. If someone was like, well, it's suspected of fraud and here's why, you could maybe wrap your head around that. That was not what was happening. They were holding the money, and they weren't really explaining why they were. They just were holding it. And this went on for weeks. And $10,000, I don't care who you are, that's a lot of money for anybody. And, you know, I think we're busy. We have so many things that we like have on our to-do list. So you want to put the check mark and cross off the to-do of deposit the check. So that was hanging over her head for a very long time. And she said that she was basically, I mean, it was just a bad customer service experience from her standpoint.
Yes.
And she, I think, had threatened. She said, well, if this doesn't get resolved, you know, I'm going to go to the media. And I think the teller or whoever she was working with, the manager, said, well, is that all you have for us today? You know, kind of very curt. And she was just like, you know what? I'm done. And that's when she started Googling. She found me. And then we got to work contacting Wells Fargo. So we always want documentation. We want a concise explanation of what happened on the consumer end. And then we go contact the business, one, to get a response, but also initially just to like make sure that the consumer is giving an accurate portrayal of what happened. 'Cause sometimes people embellish things, but Wells Fargo said, we're looking into it. We're working on this right away after we contacted them.
Well, I appreciate the prompt follow through when you got involved. When you were looking into this, does this happen a lot? I know if I'm on social media, I see people that get in trouble for scam and fraud and things like that. Is this like a new procedure? What did Wells Fargo say?
I think what's happening in the world is there's so much fraud and there's so many scammers out there that banks and other companies, like especially now soft targets too, like schools, places that maybe don't have money, but they have access to people's sensitive information, and then that can be used to gain money later on. These places, all these institutions are really battening down the hatches and trying to make sure they're protecting themselves from being vulnerable against scammers. But what ends up happening is, I think of it like you're catching tuna, but like some dolphins kind of get caught in the net. You're catching people and you're hurting people. You're holding money for people that are completely innocent. They've done nothing wrong. So I think that's what it was. I think they thought that this was a fraudulent situation. It was a large check. And the other thing was her maiden name, I believe, was on the aunt addressed it to her maiden name. She's married, but she had deposited checks with the different name before, like no issue.
No issue before.
And if you look at a check, like banks will tell you, it's really the dollar amount and like the account number. Those are the things that matter. It's not like I could say I'm Bob Schmob and it would be fine. Maybe. But anyway, maybe don't take my advice on that. But she was caught up. I think banks were trying to be vigilant, but she was caught up in being treated like a scammer when she was absolutely not one. Now, it's great that banks are being very careful and other institutions are being very careful. But what they need to do, and as they're battening down the hatches, is also create a pathway for people who are innocent but are flagged to rectify things quickly for them so they can get on their merry way.
This case got resolved, correct?
Yes. So we got involved. The Wells Fargo people responded like, we're on it, like this is high priority. And I've said this to you before, Jalen, in previous interviews. When customers are having a consumer issue, they're contacting customer service. When I get involved, I'm contacting the communications PR team. So I'm working with a different team. Usually those people are like former journalists. So they work very quickly. They also care about the optics of things. Wells Fargo, I'm a Wells Fargo customer. A lot of people are. It's a huge bank. They don't want bad press saying that there was a good, very good on the up and up customer who was having issues simply depositing a check. They don't want that press. So then they will go and try to rectify things very quickly. And that's, this could have been a story of this money is still up in the air. Where is it? Wells Fargo did the right thing. I believe the check was deposited within a month of us getting involved. It still took a long time, but the ball started moving faster once we got involved. So she has the money. She gave all the credit in the world to us and really spoke about, as we see, just changes within the government and financial consumer rights groups kind of going away and that funding dwindling, the importance of Five on Your Side and other kind of advocacy type branches within the journalism world really stepping up and helping, because she felt like that we were the difference maker for her.
Absolutely. People need a place where they can get advocated for their solutions as well. But again, thank you so much for your time. Is there anything else missing in this reporting?
I think people just, I talked to you about like why I pick stories or how I pick stories. It's the need and my ability to resolve. And then an asterisk next to that, the third thing is really, could this story help other people learn and prevent them from this situation happening to them personally? And want people to know, if you're using an ATM, don't use like a RAL and you're depositing, you're dealing with large amounts of money. Do not use one that is not affiliated with your bank. Make sure it's affiliated with your bank. You can use the ATM within the bank, or just walk up to the teller or do the drive-through thing at the bank. The bank,
person to person is great.
Person to person the bank is allowed to hold sums larger than $1,000 if for whatever reason for a certain period of time. But if you're dealing with large sums and you're depositing it or you're withdrawing, just try to do face-to-face. That's going to help eliminate a lot of issues. And just know your rights there. And that really is your right. Like, they're not supposed to hold it for there's a few days on how much they can hold it. And then the other thing I will say is, just be careful. I mean, sometimes people will get sent money and it is a scam. Like, we've done stories where people will get a check in the mail to buy their house from under them, and that's not a real check. It's a gimmick. But just be careful. Use your noggin, and then call us if you run into an issue.
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you so much for your time, and you guys can catch all this reporting on WRAL.com.